The state is that great fiction by which everyone seeks to live at the expense of everyone else. The state is that great fiction. The government is a fiction. The government lies to us. Fake stream CIA infiltrated Operation Mockingbird, MK Ultra Media lies to us. And now we are told from the lying media, from the lying government, that this is the guy. This is the shooter. This is the assassin. They say his name is Tyler Robinson. He's been taken into custody for the assassination of Charlie Kirk. And Donald Trump says, we have him. Robinson confessed to his father that he was the one who fired the shot. The father reported this to the authorities. We're going to listen to what the authorities say. But I cannot emphasize to you enough that the manipulative force of the executive power, the legislative branch, how many times they've lied to us to get us into wars, to manipulate us into accepting a surveillance state and a police state. Take everything that is said during this interview and press conference with a grain of salt. There you got Kash Patel sitting there behind it, heading up the FBI. We know the FBI. If you would ask Randy Weaver, if he were still alive, what do you think about the FBI? Or if you were to ask one of the 20 children at Waco in the 1990s, what do you think about the FBI and the ATF? And here we are with Americans just with open hearts, believing what the FBI says, believing what the state and local and federal authorities say. So take everything with a grain of salt. We're going to go through this. We're going to listen to what they have to say. We're going to listen to what kind of evidence they're going to produce. Here we go. Thanks for being here.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. We got him. On the evening of September 11th, a family member of Tyler Robinson reached out to a family friend who contacted the Washington County Sheriff's Office with information that Robinson had confessed to them or implied that he had committed the incident. This information was relayed to the Utah County Sheriff's Office and scene investigators at Utah Valley University. This information was also conveyed to the FBI. Investigators reviewed additional video footage from UVU surveillance and identified Robinson arriving on UVU campus in a gray Dodge Challenger at approximately 8:29 a.m. on September 10th, in which he is observed on video in a plain maroon t-shirt, light-colored shorts, a black hat with a white logo, and light-colored shoes. When encountered in person by investigators in Washington County on September 12th, in the early morning hours, Robinson was observed in consistent clothing with those surveillance images.
So he stayed in the same clothing, almost as if he wanted to get caught.
Investigators interviewed a family member of Robinson who stated that Robinson had become more political in recent years. The family member referenced a recent incident in which Robinson came to dinner prior to September 10th, and in the conversation with another family member, Robinson mentioned Charlie Kirk was coming to UVU. They talked about why they didn't like him and the viewpoints that he had. The family member also stated Kirk was full of hate and spreading hate. The family member also confirmed Robinson had a gray Dodge Challenger. Investigators identified an individual as the roommate of Robinson. Investigators interviewed that roommate, who stated that his roommate, referring to Robinson, made a joke on Discord. Investigators asked if he would show them the messages on Discord. He opened it and showed several messages to investigators and allowed investigators to take photos of the screen as each message was shown by Robinson's roommate. These photos consisted of various messages, including content of messages between the phone contact named Tyler with an emoji icon and Robinson's roommate's device. The content of these messages included messages affiliated with the contact Tyler, stating a need to retrieve a rifle from a drop point, leaving the rifle in a bush, messages related to visually watching the area where a rifle was left, and a message referring to having left the rifle wrapped in a towel. The messages also refer to engraving bullets and a mention of a scope and the rifle being unique. Messages from the contact, Tyler, also mentioned that he had changed outfits. I know there's been speculation as well as to the writing on those casings, those bullet casings, and I believe we have that as well. And I'll share that with you now. So the area north of Campus Drive Road where the suspect crossed over, you saw some of that in the video that we released last night, consists of a grassy area with trees on the edge of the UVU campus. Investigators discovered a bolt-action rifle wrapped in a dark-colored towel. The rifle was determined to be a Mauser Model 98 30-06 caliber bolt-action rifle. The rifle had a scope mounted on top of it.
You know what? I'm kind of surprised that they didn't say it was a Mannlicher Carcano like Lee Harvey Oswald had. Wouldn't that be icing on the government cake, the official government story cake?
Investigators noted inscriptions that had been engraved on casings found with the rifle. Inscriptions on a fired casing read, "Notices bulges, capital OWO, what's this?" ? Inscriptions on the 3 unfired casings read, "Hey fascist!" ! Catch! ! Up arrow symbol, right arrow, and symbol, and 3 down arrow symbols. A second unfired casing read, "Oh Bella Chow, Bella Chow, Bella Chow, Chow Chow," and a third unfired casing read, "If you read this, you are gay, LMAO." We are indebted to law enforcement across the state who's worked seamlessly together, local law enforcement, state law enforcement, and our federal partners with the Federal Bureau of Investigation. We're grateful for everyone who worked together in such a short amount of time to find this person and to bring justice. I want to thank the public who has been so engaged, reviewing videos, helping us with sending in tips, and helping us get to this point. I want to thank the family members of Tyler Robinson who did the right thing in this case and were able to bring him into to law enforcement as well.
Put a 2 in the room if you don't buy one thing that's coming out of this guy's mouth.
I especially want to thank the family of Charlie Kirk, Erica, Charlie's parents, his children. I want us to be thinking of them as we bring justice in this case. They will be involved in that justice. We will be working very closely with them as we move through this process as well. This is a very sad day for our country, a terrible day for the state of Utah, but I'm grateful that at this moment we have an opportunity to bring closure to this very dark chapter in our nation's history. With that, I'll now turn the microphone over to the director of the FBI, Kash Patel.
Oh, I'm definitely going to believe this guy. I mean, he gave us the Epstein cell video and everything was completely above board. Everything this guy says is going to be true. I guarantee you can trust Kash Patel. By the way, Kash, how many on the Jeffrey Epstein PDF file list have you apprehended and jailed? Oh, 0? Okay, we totally believe you, man.
Thank you, Governor. This is what happens when you let good cops be cops.
He turned himself in. What are you talking about?
The FBI and our partners are proud to stand here today together to bring justice to the family of Charlie Kirk.
They're patting themselves on the back. This is disgusting.
Honor his memory. I want to express my deep gratitude to President Trump, the Vice President, and the entire White House who have been so incredibly supportive with both resources and just personally to the FBI as a team. They had our backs the entire way, and I just want to express my gratitude for giving us the resources we need to operate in this space to bring this sort of justice at this sort of speed. In 33 hours, we have made historic progress for Charlie. Governor Cox, our partnership has been absolutely absolutely
We have made historic progress for Charlie.
incredible these last few days. Our partnership will endure. Your state and local partners, your sheriffs, your DPS community has been unbelievably impressive in the hardest of times. And a case like this cannot be solved, cannot be brought without partnering with your state and local authorities. The FBI has a certain role to play. We will play that role, and we will lead out for the federal government. Governor Cox, we are so grateful for your state partnership that led out on this investigation. A little bit of the timeline. Charlie was shot at 12:23 p.m. on Wednesday. The first FBI agents arrived on scene in 16 minutes with chiefs of police at 12:39 and secured the scene. The FBI immediately launched fixed-wing assets. We utilized these assets to transport personnel, specialty technicians, hostage rescue teams. We also utilized these assets to go back and forth from the East Coast and here in Utah to transport forensic evidence and other evidence that will be analyzed and is being analyzed at our FBI laboratories in Quantico and other laboratories, including the ATF. At my direction, the FBI released the first set of FBI photos of the suspect at 10 a.m. local time on 9/11. Then, shortly thereafter, the FBI reward of $100,000 was released at 10:45 a.m. local. Myself and Deputy Director Bongino arrived on the scene at approximately 5:30 p.m. on 9/11. The governor led a press conference last night at approximately 8 p.m., where at my direction, the FBI released a never-before-seen video of the suspect. We also released new images to the public of the suspect. And just last night, the suspect was taken into custody at 10 p.m. local time. In less than 36 hours, 33 to be precise.
33 hours. 33 hours to be precise.
Thanks to the full weight of the federal government and leading out with the partners here in the state of Utah and Governor Cox, the suspect was apprehended in a historic time period. And I want to highlight what Governor Cox said. This would not have been possible without you, the media, and you, the public. That's why
Kash Patel, who lived his life before becoming the FBI director, constantly criticized fake stream media for not being honest. Without you, this could not have been possible. Thank you, corporate media, mainstream, fake stream, CIA infiltrated operation. Wait a second, you're CIA infiltrated. That means a great amount of pressure and influence is exerted on fake stream media to get these stories out. I wonder why.
we went so public, so fast, and we're so transparent, and we're committed to that transparency.
Wow.
The crime scene, just a little bit there. It is a large crime scene. State and local authorities, along with federal authorities, process that crime scene quickly. And I even had the ability to walk through that crime scene and walk through the steps the suspect took to learn more about what was needed and what resources we needed to bear to create a full picture for the FBI and leadership back in Washington. Furthermore, thankfully to state and local partners, forensic evidence has been seized and continues to be garnered. Forensic evidence has already been evaluated at FBI laboratories in Quantico and state and local authorities here. We will continue to process
Look at those eyes. Anybody here trust those eyes?
evidence as we see it, as we collect it, and we will continue to deliver to Governor Cox and his team. Last night, we had a total of approximately 7,000 leads. As of this morning, thanks to your great work, we have over 11,000 leads that were called in to the FBI. And we are running out every single lead that we can.
I'm really surprised it wasn't 33,000 leads.
Every one of those leads will be run out. The arrest is a testament to the dedication of good law enforcement being great and partnerships in law enforcement, which I've tried to highlight as my tenure as the director of the FBI. There is no better relationship for law enforcement than the FBI to partner with state and local authorities, and you've seen it here in these last few days.
Wow. Guys, we know the history of the FBI. There's no better partnership than when the FBI decides to partner with state and local authorities.
The FBI Salt Lake Field Office, along with our offices in LA, Phoenix, Denver, San Antonio, Las Vegas, Pittsburgh, Buffalo, our headquarters component in Quantico, all participate in the FBI. I want to express my deep gratitude to the employees of the FBI, the men and women, the evidence response team tacticians, the special operators, the agents, the support staff. You have done monumental work in historic time when the public, who had a right to demand such an expeditious solving of an investigation, the FBI answered that call diligently, critically important to our nation, and we delivered. And I'm proud to be their leader, and I'm proud to be the director of the FBI. This is a very much an ongoing investigation, as the governor said, and we will continue to work with state and local authorities to develop the investigation, to provide them the evidence they need for their ongoing prosecutions. And we will be here to answer every call they absolutely have, as long as it takes, for as long as we need to find and apprehend whatever suspects were involved in this crime. Lastly, to my friend Charlie Kirk, rest now, brother. We have the watch, and I'll see you in Valhalla.
Thank you. Good morning. I would just like to take a few minutes as the sheriff to express my gratitude for everybody who has played a part in this investigation. As you know, it's been a vast, a complicated, and a very, very fast-paced investigation. You're looking at people standing up here who are running on, if they got an hour's sleep in the last couple of days, they're probably lucky. It has been very taxing. It has been so impressive speaking on behalf of the local law enforcement to see the cooperation that we've seen in this type of case. Across the state, sheriffs, chiefs, our state partners have stepped up and have come to the call on anything that we needed. Our county chiefs have been phenomenal. Our Utah County Attorney, Jeff Gray, who's standing up here with us, has been phenomenal in leading us through this investigation. I would like to thank the federal government for their resources, their assets. Our local team here, our FBI team, has been extraordinary in helping us work through this and bring this person to justice. Most of all, I would like to thank the public, and specifically, I would like to thank the public who turned to prayers and who turned to positiveness for us. I would like to thank them on behalf of the law enforcement community because we needed those prayers. That's what we needed to get through this. We needed your support, and you gave it to us. We needed your patience, and you gave it to us. And I would like to thank you for the Kirk family because that's what they need, is your support and your prayers, and that will get us through all of this. So thank you, everybody, for everybody that has stepped up. We've had such a phenomenal response to this. Thank you.
I also want to give a special thanks to the Attorney General and the Department of Justice. Their unwavering support and their commitment to justice is shown true here. And without AG Bondi and Deputy Attorney General Todd Blanche and the resources they brought to bear, we would not have been able to complete our mission. And I just want to say special thanks. It's an honor to be a part of the Department of Justice.
Now, before we move on, keep in mind with all the back padding that FBI Director Kash Patel is doing with state, local, and federal law enforcement agencies, they're giving themselves credit for having solved this crime by getting the right guy, and they got him. But they wouldn't have got him, if this is truly him and something else nefarious isn't at work. But the dad turned the son in. There was no getting by the FBI. There was giving by the father of Tyler Robinson. But they continue to pat themselves on the back. We did great work, boys.
Thank you again to our incredible law enforcement team who has worked so hard. Sheriff, I got a solid 90 minutes last night, so I'm probably the most well-rested person up here. Ladies and gentlemen, I get the microphone, so I hope you'll permit me a moment just to share a few more thoughts about where we are and how we got here, and maybe a little bit of where we go from here. I don't want to get too preachy, but I think it's important that we, with eyes wide open, understand what's happening in our country today. I've heard people say, well, why are we so invested in this? There's violence happening all across our country, and violence is tragic everywhere, and every life taken is a child of God who deserves our love and respect and dignity. This is certainly about the tragic death, political assassination of Charlie Kirk. But it is also much bigger than an attack on an individual. It is an attack on all of us. It is an attack on the American experiment. It is an attack on our ideals.
Oh, kind of like an attack by the FBI and the ATF on Randy Weaver at Ruby Ridge, kind of like the attack by the ATF and FBI at Waco, kind of like the attack of and the lies that brought us into Vietnam with the Gulf of Tonkin lie, saying that the North Vietnamese U-boats attacked the USS Maddox, and therefore we've got to go off to war, costing 59,000 American lives, plus 1.5 to 3 million civilian casualties, kind of like those attacks.
This cuts to the very foundation of who we are, of who we have been, and who we could be in better times. Political violence is different than any other type of violence.
And make no mistake, guys, political violence, when people use these euphemisms, political violence, politics is violence, because it's the demand for a ruling class to activate the law enforcement class to initiate force and violence on people who don't bend to their will. It is force, it is coercion. And like I've said many times on this broadcast, ironically, George Washington said, the government is not eloquent, it is not reason, it is force, it is violence, it's coercion, it's threats, and like fire, it's a dangerous servant and a fearful master. So when they pull out these terms like there's no room for political violence in our system. Well, when you're saying political violence, you're using redundant terms. You're basically saying there's no room for violent violence. Politics is violence. Government is violence. Government is not eloquence or reason. Government is not peace. Government is war.
For lots of different reasons. One, because in the very act that Charlie championed of expression, that freedom of expression that is enshrined in our founding documents, in having his life taken in that very act, makes it more difficult for people to feel like they can share their ideas, that they can speak freely. We will never be able to solve all the other problems, including the violence problems that people are worried about, if we can't have a clash of ideas safely and securely. Especially those ideas with which you disagree. That's why this matters so much. Over the last 48 hours, I have been as angry as I have ever been, as sad as I have ever been. And it was, as anger pushed me to the brink, it was actually Charlie's words that pulled me back.
Here we go.
I'd like to share some of those. And specifically right now, if I could, I need to talk to the young people in our state, in my state, and all across the country. As President Trump reminded me, he said, you know who really loved Charlie? The youths. And he's right. Young people loved Charlie, and young people hated Charlie. And Charlie went into those places anyway. And these are the words that have helped me. Charlie said, when people stop talking, that's when you get violence. He said, the weak can never forgive. Forgiveness is the attribute of the strong. The only way out of the labyrinth of suffering is to forgive. Welcome without judgment, love without condition, forgive without limit. He said, always forgive your enemies. Nothing annoys them so much. A few months ago, I referenced this last night, Charlie posted to social media, when things are moving very fast and people are losing their minds, it's important to stay grounded. Turn off your phone, read scripture, spend time with friends, and remember, internet fury is not real life. It's going to be okay. He again said, when you stop having a human connection with someone you disagree with, it becomes a lot easier to commit violence. He said, what we as a culture have to get back to is being able to have a reasonable agreement. He said, what we as a culture have a reasonable agreement where violence is not an option. Now, again, to my young friends out there, you are inheriting a country where politics feels like rage. It feels like rage is the only option.
Can I say something real quick about violence? No rational, reasonable person wants to initiate violence on anyone else. If you want to initiate violence on somebody just because you disagree with their opinion, you're not a good person. But what is politics? What are you saying with your vote? I want this guy to rule over me, and I want him to rule over you. And if you disobey his rulership, you should be punished. That's the initiation of violence. The Democrats want their guy to rule over you. The Republicans want their guy to rule over you. So when people are sitting there, when I criticize a Charlie Kirk or when I criticize a Donald Trump, people call me a leftist, a liberal, a Democrat. Let me tell you something. There's some bad stuff coming on this land, and I'm going to give you just one example. There are many, but I'm just going to give you one example because it's so in our face right now, and we're going to get back to this in a second. Obama awarded contracts to a company called Palantir. Biden awarded major contracts to Palantir. Trump, in both of his terms, awarded major contracts, major military contracts to a company called Palantir. If you don't know who Palantir is and what Palantir does and how many fingers Palantir has in everybody's pies, you need to take a look at it, because if you voted for, if you stumped for Obama, you are part of the Palantir problem that is coming on us and is on us right now. If you voted for Biden, you brought Palantir to your doorstep. If you voted for Trump, you did the exact same thing. And I'm just giving one example. There are a plethora of examples of what people bring into this world when they pull that button or push that button or they pull that lever in the voting booth. And you become part of the problem when you vote for the person who's going to usher in that problem. So if you voted for Obama and he dropped one bomb or launched one drone strike on one innocent person, you are responsible for that. It happened with your vote. And you could try to pacify and justify and say, I didn't vote for that. I didn't vote for drone bomb ya. I voted for him to do good things for America. Shake yourself awake. What do you think that a politician is not going to do major evil, and they will do it in your name with your vote and with your support? And I don't care if it's an Obama, a Biden, or Trump, they're all doing it. And nobody put the pedal to the metal and got more people activated to vote for a political psychopath than Charlie Kirk. Charlie Kirk is a friend, a close friend, self-admittedly, a close friend with Benjamin Netanyahu. And they're going to enshrine this guy as some kind of martyr hero? you gotta start thinking here. You gotta start thinking.
But through those words, we have a reminder that we can choose a different path. Your generation has an opportunity to build a culture that is very different than what we are suffering through right now. Not by pretending differences don't matter, but by embracing our differences and having those hard conversations. I think we need more moral clarity right now.
A government official telling us we need moral clarity. That would be like Jeffrey Epstein, if alive or not. It doesn't matter, but that'd be like Jeffrey Epstein looking into the camera saying, you know what? Ghislaine Maxwell and I think that this is a pivotal point where we need moral clarity. You gotta be kidding me, man. That this guy can say that with a straight face.
I hear all the time that words are violence. Words are not violence. Violence is violence. And there is one person responsible for what happened here. And that person is now in custody and will be charged soon and will be held accountable.
Wow, they're just taking it as a foregone conclusion that they are selling this as this is the guy. This is who did this. They're being as resolute as they were back in the 1960s when they said, see that guy, Lee Harvey Oswald? He's the guy who did it. He pulled the trigger. He himself, only he is responsible for this.
And yet all of us have an opportunity right now to do something different. I want to thank my fellow Utahns.
Real quick, if you're being censored in the chat, it's not me. I don't have moderators. One of the reasons I don't have moderators is because I've had moderators in the past and they will censor. I never censor. Say what you want to. Disagree with me. I don't care what you say, but if your message disappears, it wasn't me who did it. Well, actually, I take that back. Maybe watch what you say because you can be put on a watch list. Google is in with the federal agencies and they will turn your chat over to them.
This bad stuff happens. And for 33 hours, I was...
He said it again. They keep saying it. For 33, we want you to know it was 33 hours.
Praying that if this had to happen here, that it wouldn't be one of us. That somebody drove from another state, somebody came from another country. Sadly, that prayer was not answered the way I hoped for. Just because I thought it would make it easier on us if we could just say, hey, we don't do that here. And indeed, Utah is a special place. We lead the nation in charitable giving. We lead the nation in service every year. But it did happen here. And it was one of us. But I want you to look at how Utahns reacted the last two nights. There was no rioting. There was no looting. There were no cars set on fire. There was no violence. There were vigils and prayers and people coming together to share the humanity. And that, ladies and gentlemen, I believe is the answer to this. We can return violence with violence. We can return hate with hate. And that's the problem with political violence, is it metastasizes. Because we can always point the finger at the other side. And at some point, we have to find an off-ramp, or it's going to get much, much worse.
Yeah, political violence does metastasize. That's what is wrong with government.
But see, these are choices that we can make. History will dictate if this is a turning point for our country. But every single one of us gets to choose right now if this is a turning point for us. We get to make decisions. We have our agency. And I desperately call on every American, Republican, Democrat, liberal, progressive, conservative, MAGA, all of us to please please, please follow what Charlie taught me. I'll just conclude with words I share often from a friend and author Yuval Levin, who was asked if he was optimistic about our country, and he said, "I'm not optimistic." He said, "I hate optimism." God, that sounds bad. But he said, optimism is a vice. It's this idea that good things are just going to happen. He said, in the history of the world, good things have never just happened. He says, I'm not optimistic, but I am hopeful. And hope is the virtue that sits between the vices of optimism and pessimism. Hope is the idea that good things are going to happen because we can make them so. I still believe in our country. And I know Charlie Kirk believed in our country. I still believe that there is more good among us than evil. And I still believe that we can change the course of history. I'm hopeful because Americans can make it so. Ladies and gentlemen, we're happy to answer any questions you might have.
Governor, can you please?
Now, before they go to questioning, I just want to remind you what Bibi Netanyahu said about Charlie Kirk in a post to X. He said, Charlie Kirk, this is a quote, Charlie Kirk was murdered for speaking truth and defending freedom. A lion-hearted friend of Israel, he fought the lies and stood tall for Judeo-Christian civilization. I spoke to him only 2 weeks ago and invited him to Israel. Sadly, that visit will not take place. We lost an incredible human being. His boundless pride in America and his vigilant belief in free speech, like Bibi Netanyahu, who believes in free speech, condemning anybody that he would label as anti-Semitic, will leave a lasting impact. Rest in peace, Charlie Kirk. That's how close they were in correspondence. They had their, each other's phone numbers. He was the friend of warmonger Benjamin Netanyahu.
Speak to whether the suspect is speaking with authorities and his demeanor, Tyler Robinson, when he turned himself in.
I cannot speak to that.
Governor, how do you interpret his motivation? Governor, how do you interpret the engravings on the case of
I wish they would mic the people who are asking the questions so we could hear what they're saying.
Oh, I will leave that up to you to interpret what those engravings mean. I think the clearest one that says "catch fascist," there's not. And by the way, that's like catch like a ball, catch this. That's I think that speaks for itself.
Governor, you talked about this level of hatred that this person expressed at a dinner. Beyond that, is there anything in your view that you've discovered that may have radicalized or changed him to prompt him to commit such a horrific act?
There's nothing more that we can share at this time.
Governor, you indicated that he had been communicating with a friend on Discord about the gun. Do you anticipate any more arrests?
We do not at this time have any information that would lead to any additional arrests.
Isn't that convenient? He was communicating with a friend on Discord about the weapon, presumably the murder weapon. How easy can you make it for somebody?
Do you believe he acted alone?
Yes, but the investigation is ongoing.
Can you tell more about the family, what they had to say about the suspect?
How he came into custody of police and where he is right now, Mr. Robinson?
Yes, so right now, Mr. Robinson has been booked into the Utah County Jail. You heard the president this morning report that he was taken into custody, that his family and a friend helped to deliver him into custody of law enforcement in Washington County. Those of you that don't know where Washington County is, it is the.
That is hilarious how he hem-hawed about that. I'm going to play that back 15 seconds. Let's see.
Friend taken
Listen,
into custody.
So the question is, how did he come into custody? It wasn't through the strategic and by the sweat of the brow of those who were involved in the FBI and all the intelligence agencies who were involved in it. How did you find him? Well, we were scouring the surveillance cameras and we found this facial recognition software and it matched his identity perfectly. And then we had people go stake out his house, and there were men on the ground, there were boots on the ground, and we actually went and we got him. Because that's what they're saying is, we got him. Listen to how he describes how he was delivered to police custody.
That his family and a friend.
Wait a second. Wait, I'm going to back this up just a little bit more.
Now, Mr. Robinson has been booked into the Utah County Jail. You heard the president this morning report that he was taken into custody. That his family and a friend helped to deliver him into custody of law enforcement in Washington County. Those of you that don't know where Washington County
Cash Patel's sitting back there like, you make it sound more like we did something. We have to justify our existence here.
It is the southwesternmost part of the state of Utah. It's about a 3.5 to 4 hours.
Now he goes to, here's where we are in Utah. Let's get away from that real quick. We need you to know where we are exactly in Utah.
Drive from here, where we are.
Yeah, Cash is still thinking about Epstein.
And that's where he lived and where they turned him.
Is there more about the family is saying about Tyler Robinson?
I can't share any more than what I've already shared.
Governor, do you have details on how he got back to Washington County and how?
Yeah, his dad, by the way, that's a key note. Apparently, his dad is a 27-year veteran of the police department. Turned his kid in.
Gun was obtained.
So we how we obtained the gun? The gun was found.
How the shooter obtained the gun and how the shooter then was able to get back to Washington.
So I don't have much more details on that. We do know that he drove. We had his car here on campus, and then we had his car going south back to the St. George. It's actually the city of Washington in Washington County.
Wow, this guy doesn't have his story straight, does he?
Talking with authorities, and did he discuss a voting?
I'm sorry.
Did the suspect plan to carry out any other attacks?
We don't have any information that
Are you
released.
going to be releasing the mugshot?
Yes, in fact, it was just released.
Is he
Yes.
talking with authorities, and did he discuss a voting?
I can't answer that right now.
Can you clarify, you've spoken very eloquently about trying to reunite this country. Do you feel that this is a watershed in American history?
I absolutely believe that this is a watershed in American history, yes. The question is what kind of watershed? And that chapter remains to be written. Is this the end of a dark chapter in our history or the beginning of a darker chapter in our history? Look, I mean, if you look at true political assassinations in this country of someone of this stature, this feels a lot like the late 60s. And having one so gruesomely displayed on camera in all of our hands and in all of our pockets, we are not wired as human beings biologically, historically. We have not evolved in a way that we are capable of processing those types of violent imagery. And by the way, we've seen another one with a gruesome stabbing very recently that went viral. This is not.
Who is this guy? Does he have a major in psychology? Does he even have a minor in psychology? Is he a psychologist? We are not wired to process the gruesome imagery. What the heck is he talking about? Not only that, it can be argued from the JFK thing that the reason it was so public, the reason there were the camera angles there were, you had the Nix film, you had the Zapruder film, and the reason why it was displayed so prolifically was so that there could be this basically, a lot of people call it trauma-based mind control. It makes people more easy to move and manipulate because now you've psychologically infiltrated them and now they're acting almost 100% on emotion. And if you can get people, politicians know this, psychological operators know this, social engineers know this, when you can get a human being to operate a large percentage on emotion, you can easily manipulate them and move them to do and believe just about anything. Who was it? Voltaire, who said, those who make you believe absurdities can also make you commit atrocities. So you got to understand that there is never a time, especially we're in 2025, we've got the AI age about to hit us like an avalanche. There is never a time where there is not a psychological operation afoot. And when I say psychological, I do mean in the mind. And when I say operation, we are talking about skilled doctors who know, psychological doctors who know how to use that scalpel. People like Edward Bernays. Edward Bernays has nothing on the technology and the experimentation and the educational level of the people who are actually pulling the strings and moving the stagehands behind the curtain and in front of the curtain. Edward Bernays was a master manipulator, a master psychological operator. And we have learned so much since the 1930s and 40s from the Edward Bernays days. They have so much more technology that they can deploy against us. And they're constantly doing it, whether we're talking about frequency, imagery, messaging. The mainstream media is one of the biggest, it's basically the propaganda arm for the military industrial complex. They will always lie to you. If mainstream media just lied to you once to get you into one war, or to get us or anybody into one war, that's enough to be resolute in your mind that you will never, ever, you could never trust mainstream media again. So this guy right here, is trying to talk about, we are not equipped as a humanity to deal with the imagery of a Charlie Kirk being assassinated. In one sense, he's kind of right. It's almost like he's showing us his cards. Because look at the fallout. On the left side of it, you have people dancing in the streets over a guy who got killed. That's perverted. What kind of person do you have to be to celebrate the murder? The reported murder of an individual that you hate because you can't stand the things that he said. And on the other hand, on the other side of it, they want to build statues and monuments and the Congressional Medal of Honor or whatever, some kind of medal that Donald Trump wants to posthumously. He got a ride. His casket got a ride on Air Force Two. They want to immortalize this guy as some kind of Marcus Aurelius or something. Both sides operating purely on emotion, instead of landing in the middle going, let's dissect this. Was Charlie Kirk really that good of a guy? Can we take a look at his messaging? Let's take a look at what he's promoting. Did he say some good things? Yeah, Obama said some good things. But was Obama a good guy? Do you know, there's a video that I did. There was a guy, I cannot remember the YouTuber's name, but he's rising in popularity and he's a conservative. And he wasn't cheering for, but he was celebrating, not in the TikTok crazy blue-haired way, but he was celebrating the death of those 11 people that got airstruck by the Trump administration. They claim to be, Venezuelan drug lords and drug runners. How do you know? Are you really going to believe what the government says about the boat they just destroyed? The boat full of people. People are making the argument, Charlie had a wife. Charlie has kids. Yeah, that's sad. But how about those guys in that boat? Or how about those people in that circle in that desert that they destroyed? All 100 of them. Don't you think a couple of those had a wife, a mother? They all had a mother and a father. Maybe a bunch of them had kids. What about them? But no, somehow we've arrived at the point where the psychological operation, the manipulation is so good that they've got the right applauding the death of people that they don't know on some boat because they were part of a drug cartel delivering fentanyl. You don't know. What if that was FedEx delivering package? You don't even know who it was, but they're applauding those deaths. And now they're condemning the left, and rightly so, for applauding and celebrating the death of Charlie Kirk. We live in a sick society. It's no measure of good mental health to be considered well adjusted to that profoundly sick society. So let's get back to this guy.
Good for us.
By the way, if there's anything that I said just now that you disagree with, put a 2 in the room. I want to know it, because I'm critical of the Charlie Kirks of this world, just as I am critical of the Midas Touch, Dave Pakman, Brian Tyler Cohen, CNN leftists of this world. And it all comes down to freedom. Leave me the frick alone. The leftists don't want to leave me alone because they want an Obama or Biden or a Harris to rule me. And the right doesn't want to leave me alone because they want a Donald Trump and a J.D. Palantir Vance to rule me. I don't want to be ruled. Just leave me alone. I don't harm people. I add to my local economy. Just leave me the frick alone. Put a 1 in the room if you agree with what I'm saying. Put a 2 if you don't. And, maybe we can talk about it. But call me a fraud all you want to. I don't celebrate the death of Charlie Kirk. Not by any stretch of the imagination. But I also don't immortalize him as a hero because he wasn't. He's a pretty cruddy human being. He was, in the words of George Carlin, in the big club. This guy was riding on Air Force One, great friends with the president. According to Jesse Waters, he was a lieutenant in the movement, a bigger than life character, a mover and shaker who was even affecting policy. This guy got all the flags in the country at half mast and a moment of silence in the halls of Congress. That's being an insider, and insiders are not for you. Those who are in the big club are not on your side. I don't care if it's a Charlie Kirk. I don't care if it's a Barack Obama or a Bernie Sanders or an AOC or a Donald Trump. They are not on your side. They don't work for you. How do we know? Look at their policies. National debt always increases. Military industrial complex always gets a fat check. Contracts for the prison industrial complex are always written. Always by the Obamas, by the Bidens, by the Reagans, by the Carters, by the Fords, by the Trumps. Trump ain't no different. Matter of fact, on a lot of this side of the curtain ways, he's way worse than Obama. Never instituted red flag gun confiscation laws. Obama never came out and said, even though he believed, I like take the guns first, due process second. Donald Trump did. People are against me when I say I'm pro Second Amendment. You think Charlie Kirk was pro Second Amendment? He absolutely wasn't. How do we know? Because he was for background checks. If you're for background checks, I didn't realize I was peeking out there. If you're for background checks, you're for infringement. If you're for infringement, you cannot be for shall not be infringed. I would love to have, and I've heard Charlie Kirk's arguments. He does sound like he's pro-gun, but he's pro-background check. And he's pro-Donald Trump. I like take the guns first, due process second. He's pro-Donnie, red flag gun confiscation law, Trump. If you're promoting a guy who is for gun confiscation through red flag laws, and you know how horrendous those are, then you're anti-Second Amendment. Don't call Charlie Kirk. If you're not 100%, if you're 99% Second Amendment, you're not Second Amendment. If you're 99.9% Second Amendment, you're not Second Amendment. It's 100% or nothing, baby. She's kind of pregnant. Well, he's kind of Second Amendment. Come on, man. Let's be real. Let's be real.
It is not good to consume. Social media is a cancer on our society right now, and I would encourage again.
And government isn't. Oh my God. Okay, we're gonna let me rewind this about 30 seconds, and then we'll just listen to what he has to say.
Of someone of this stature, this feels a lot like the late '60s, and having one so gruesomely displayed on camera in all of our hands and in all of our pockets. We are not wired as human beings, biologically, historically, we have not evolved in a way that we are capable of processing those types of violent imagery. And by the way, we've seen another one with a gruesome.
I don't know about you, but I process the violent imagery just fine. How about you? Did any of you have a problem processing the violent imagery of Charlie Kirk being offed? By the way, I will go over all. I see the super chats coming in. I appreciate those, and I will definitely read and put them up on the screen near the end of this. Thank you very much for being here.
Stabbing very recently that went viral. This is not good for us. It is not good to consume. Social media is a cancer on our society right now. And I would encourage people to log off, turn off, touch grass, hug a family member, go out and do good in your community. That is happening, and it's happening organically right now. I had a friend in a small city in Utah who said, we're getting together. The Republicans and Democrats in my little town are getting together to have a discussion tonight, last night.
Wait, what's that discussion going to be? If the Republicans and Democrats are getting together, their discussion has to be, we got to get rid of politics and the political parties. We got to go back to free markets. At the very least, the very first thing we have to do is get rid of Washington's District of Criminals. This guy is warning us that social media is cancer. And on some level, I kind of agree with him. But you know what's definitely cancer that's metastasized and there is no turning back? Washington's District of Criminals, which isn't run, by the way, by 535 congressmen and senators. It's run by 12,000. And check me on that. Do a Google search. Hey, Google, how many lobbyists operate in Washington, D.C.? The number is 12,000. There's 23, almost 25 times more lobbyists than there are supposedly representatives for the people of America. And they're all beholden to special interest groups like Raytheon, like Boeing, like BAE Systems, like Big Pharma, like Pfizer. That's who they're beholden to. They're beholden to shareholders. They're not beholden to you. And Bernie Sanders can talk all he wants about, we got to do what's right for the bottom 99%. Bernie, the millionaire, is just as much a problem as Ted Cruz.
Find a way to find their better angels. So yes.
Oh my God, better angels. Guys, I have heard this no less than a half a dozen times in the last 18 hours. They got to find their better angels. I guess it's a quote from Abraham Lincoln. We need to appeal to our better angels.
This could be, I mean, you know, again, you have to go back to JFK to have seen a video live of something like this happening. I wasn't born until 1975, but I know that things were really dark in the late 60s. Sorry to some of you. I know some of you were there. This is our moment. Do we escalate or do we find an off-ramp? And again, it's a choice. It's a choice, and every one of us gets to make that choice.
No, actually, you don't get to make that choice, because if you want to take the off-ramp and the government goes, no, that's not the off-ramp I want you to take, or you need to stay on the highway, you're going to be staying on the highway, because they will deploy government guns against you. That's another thing about the gun control argument. I can't tell you how many people that I've seen push for more gun control. Gun control. It's a euphemism that really means people control. We got to control a whole lot more people. I heard this lady say the other day, it's the guns. Nobody's talking about it. It's the guns. It's like saying it's the glove, or it's the I don't know. What do I have? It's the mouse. It's the mouse. The mouse did it. If people started beating people to death with optical mice, or strangling them with the cords, are you telling me that people are going to be going, it's the optical mouse? We've got to have optical mouse control. We've got to have, if you started gloving your hand so that you wouldn't bruise your hand, it's the gloves. It's the keyboards. How many people, I saw them take that person out with a keyboard. We got to have keyboard control. That's how stupid it is. Nobody, after the subway thing in North Carolina, did you hear one politician say we need to institute folding knife control? Folding knives are dangerous. You can stick them in your pocket without stabbing yourself, and you can take them out whenever you want. And you can do any kind of harm you want. It's definitely the folding knives. We need folding knife control. It's like you're sitting there in first grade as a 5-year-old, and somebody comes in and just tries to feed you a bunch of BS because a bunch of 5-year-olds are just going to believe it. My God.
Two more questions right here.
Could we clarify that the release of those enhanced images at 8 p.m., the timeline that Director Patel gave us, led to the arrest at 10 p.m.? Is there a direct connection between those two events?
Oh my gosh.
If there is.
Oh my gosh, that was a great question. Did your release of those photos lead to a direct arrest of this guy?
Direct connection or not, but
here, wait. Here, I want to get this right. Listen to the question.
Clarify that the release of those enhanced images at 8 p.m., the timeline that Director Patel gave us, led to the arrest at 10 p.m. Is there a direct connection between those two events?
I cannot comment if there is a direct connection or not, but all I can say is that that through some process, the family came to know that this had happened.
One more thing, Governor. Could you?
That's a lie. According to the reports that I'm hearing, the kid confessed to the dad, and the dad turned him in. He knows the answer to this question. No, the release of those photos, enhanced or otherwise, did not lead to the directly lead to the arrest of this guy right here. He already just got done saying, and it's already being widely reported, that the kid went to the dad. The kid already was blabbing on Discord, and the dad turned the kid in. He knows that he's not even, if he's not going to be honest with what we know that they've told us, he's not being honest. Did you guys catch that? Or is it just me? Do I be tripping?
Clarify the clothing issue you mentioned earlier. Was he changing outfits?
Correct.
Just clarify this?
Yes. So when he's first spotted on campus, he has different clothing on, and then he changes clothing on the roof, and then changed back into that clothing at some point, so that when he was
okay, there's a consideration. Writes and Rhymes says both can be true. The dad may have confronted him to ask him if he did. I don't know that detail. The detail that I know that they've given us so far, according to reports, is that the kid went to the dad. I don't know about the dad may have confronted him first. It sounds to me like the kid volunteered the information.
When he was apprehended, when he was arrested, the clothing matched the clothing he had on before the shooting here at UVU. Last question here.
You said that the suspect was from Utah. Can you kind of tell us a little bit more about where, and was he a student here at this university, and is there any history of mental illness?
Yeah. So I don't have any information on the mental illness part. He was not a student here at UVU.
Yeah. Cash Patel says there was $100,000 reward. People are saying, does that mean the dad gets to collect $100,000?
Was living and had lived for a long time.
The dad's like, man, this law enforcement pension, not very good. I could definitely use that $100,000.
With his family in Washington County. Thank you, everyone, for your great work in getting this information out. I will just say, process-wise, this may be important. I know many of you aren't familiar with the process in Utah. I think it's important that you understand that. Basically, we have 3 days for charging documents to be filed. A CI will be filed. We'll have more information then, more detailed information as those charging documents are filed in preparation for a preliminary hearing. So 3 days. So we would anticipate then that early next week those charging documents will be filed. We will obviously be working. The county attorney will be working very closely with Mr. Kirk's family as those documents and decisions are prepared and made. Thanks, everyone.
No Mask No Way says, last question. The more you make me talk, the greater the chance I'll blow the story. Yeah. So let's look at what's going on Twitter before we leave this. And I will get out to your super chats. They're putting out photos like this right here, comparing shoes. And let's see this one right here. Amber Jones Robinson. Is that the mother of this kid? They say he's 22 or 23 years old. Happy Halloween. So weird. Not trick-or-treating with the boys this year. Off they go. They're posting the political affiliation. Amber and Matthew Robinson are Republicans. People are already saying this doesn't add up, and you can anticipate it not adding up because this is a psychological operation because those don't stop. Let's see what we got here. The Marxist subversive who arrived to scream obscenities at the Boise Vigil for Charlie Kirk came armed and tried to get people to fight him. Let's see what's trending right now. I don't want to waste anybody's time here. I'm going to refresh this page. Tyler Robinson, MK Ultra. If let's just play the if game. If this kid actually did this, what has to have happened in your life where you were actually willing to pull the trigger on a fellow human being because you didn't like what they said? And make no mistake, this is what fake stream CIA infiltrated Operation Mockingbird and government officials are doing. They're trying to make this an ideological thing. He pulled the trigger because he didn't like his ideas. Could be true. Maybe it's not true. I condemn all political violence. It's crazy how many leftists and rightists are coming on going, first of all, I want you to know I condemn political violence, without knowing that what they just said was, I condemn violent violence, because politics is violence. Politics is you wanting a member of the ruling class to violently oppose you if you disobey their commands. If you don't do what they say, or if you do what they say you shouldn't do. Let me give you an example. It's like back in 1920s, they passed prohibition. What did they really do when they banned alcohol? You couldn't sell it, you couldn't buy it, you couldn't transport it. If they caught you, they treated you as a criminal and you got fined and you got jailed. What did they really do? They didn't just ban liquid. They criminalized those who wanted to use their freedom to buy, sell, and transport that liquid. So who are the real villains there? And what did they threaten you with? What if you decided to go buy a can of beer or a bottle of whiskey? What would they do to you? They would impose violence against you. They would try to economically terrorize you through fines. They would want to arrest and kidnap you, and they would want to cage you. All of those are violence. So when they ban something like drugs or alcohol, what they're saying is, we are going to impose violence on you if you disobey us. When you put it that way, tell me how politics isn't violence? How the rule makers are issuing the threats? What is a law? A law is the opinions of people who call themselves politicians, and they're enforced or they're backed by the threat of violence. If you don't do what we said you should do, if we catch you transporting whiskey, if we catch whiskey in your cupboards, if there's beer in the trunk of your car, we will put our hands on you and we will violate you. That's politics in a nutshell. And that expands out. And let's say they never enforced that law. To keep that law on the books costs money. Where did they get that money? Oh, they robbed it from you. You didn't want that law. You weren't calling for that law. You didn't support the representative who pushed that law through. But they're going to enforce on you and force you to pay for the existence of that law, which also includes the enforcement of the law. So it's rulership and it's robbery. So when you're a Democrat and you want an Obama to be the Lord over me, what you're saying is you want Obama to force his will upon me, whether I want it or not. Same with the Republicans. You want Donald Trump or Ronald Reagan or anyone, name what, or George W. or H.W. Bush, you want him imposing his laws, his executive orders, and you want them to apply to me. I just want to live out in the woods. I want to go to and from my job and just be left alone. I want to keep 100% of everything that I went out to earn. You, on the other hand, don't want that for me. You want your ruler to rule me. So what you're actually doing, your vote is not just a vote for some dude. Your vote is a vote for violence. And we haven't even taken into account the fact that they're going to lead us off to war. They're going to enrich the military industrial complex. Defense contractors are going to get fat checks. The prison industrial complex is going to grow exponentially. We're going to become incarceration nation. Now we got innocent people sitting in prison cells when they could be productive members of society, because it's basically a pay for play, and it's a for-profit scheme. And the way that the gateway to get boatloads of money into the pockets of criminal lifetime political parasites is through laws and policies and ordinances. You think you're free, but you're not. Stop singing Land of the Free, Home of the Brave. Every stadium throughout the country should be silent when they sing the Star Spangled Banner, because it ain't true. Or the Land of the Free, Home of the Brave. You know what? You want to hear an irony about the Star Spangled Banner? The grandson of the guy who wrote that, Francis Scott Key, was imprisoned by a tyrant who's enshrined in Washington, D.C. right now, and he's got his own temple there that everybody, makes a pilgrimage to worship as though he were some great dude. That's Abraham Lincoln. There was no greater tyrant. I mean, I'm sure there have been greater, but he's on the top of the heap as far as tyranny. He arrested the grandson of Francis Scott Key and threw him into a prison named Fort McHenry, which is what the furled flag and the rocket's red glare was all about. That's irony for you. The great emancipator, the juggernaut for liberty and freedom, arrested the grandson of the guy who wrote, "O'er the land of the free and the home of the brave." Tyranny already happening in that age. We didn't even step into the 1800s before they did the Alien and Sedition Act. Put him in prison. We don't like his speech. They already had the First Amendment. You think the First Amendment is a guard to protect your freedom of speech? You think the Second Amendment is a guard to protect your right to keep and bear arms, which ain't supposed to be infringed, even though there's like hundreds of gun laws that see to your infringement? And people call me a Democrat, you leftist liberal. It's like, I don't think you know how Second Amendment I am. If you want an Abrams tank, there is no prohibition against owning an Abrams tank or any piece of heavy machinery that you could classify as a weapon in the Second Amendment. There is no restriction. There is no limitation. As a matter of fact, if you look at the writings of the founding fathers that underpins and undergirds and it serves as the foundation of the Second Amendment, they were of the mind of, if the British government has it, we need to have it. So this doesn't happen again. Oh, the Redcoats have drones. We need drones. The Redcoats have Hellfire missiles. The colonists need Hellfire missiles. They got Gatling guns. They got Puckle guns. We're going to have Gatling guns and Puckle guns. Doesn't matter about the technology. Well, that was only written during when they had muskets. Are you going to tell me that if the British had AK-47s and AR-15s, the colonists would go, well, we got to stick with the muskets, guys. We got to just keep your powder dry and be ready. Learn how to use those muskets. But they got AK-47s, AR-15s, and 30-round magazines. They even got drums for their Glocks. No, we got to stick with the muskets, guys. The argument is constantly made. That's only if you got you can have a musket. You can't have all this other stuff. You think that's the argument that Ben Franklin and Sam Adams would make? Guys, we're stuck with the muskets. Look, it's right there in the Second Amendment. And then you got somebody who's got a rational brain cell left in his head. There's 27 words here, and I don't see anything about it's only for muskets and hunting. I'm not like, what are you guys saying? That's how psychologically neutered we've been. Nope, got to take the guns. Got to criminalize all those people who have the AR-15s, AK-47s. If there was only one thing wrong with Trump, and it was that he instituted a bump stock ban, people are like, bump stocks? I never even heard about bump stocks before they started talking about it. I don't care. I don't hold that against Trump. Do you not realize what the bump stock ban actually did? You know how many hundreds of thousands of Americans owned bump stocks? It's not about the bump stock. It's about Trump didn't just ban a piece of plastic that changed the firing characteristics of a weapon. He criminalized hundreds of thousands of people who owned those inanimate plastic objects that convert the firing characteristics of a weapon. It's about criminalizing people. It's about being willing to criminalize. If you've got somebody who's willing to criminalize somebody who didn't commit a crime, you are a vile criminal. I don't care if you wear a suit and tie. I don't care if you wear a cop uniform. If you're doing violence against somebody who just wants to be left alone, you're not a good person. That right there is what made Charlie Kirk a bad person. Because he wanted his brand, his flavor of politics to institute violence upon you to the point where he claimed to love the Second Amendment, but he was for background checks, just like his father, the VAXX father, Donald Trump, wanted background checks. If let's say Obama, the only thing that was wrong with Obama is that he wanted us to have universal background checks. I would make the argument that Obama is your bitter and vile and evil enemy. If that's all that was wrong with Obama, that's all I would need to hear, is that he wants me to get permission and have my background checked by a vile, murderous government. But that's not all that was wrong with Obama. And it's never just one thing. But his pal, Obama's pal, Biden's pal, Hillary Clinton's pal, Donald Trump, wants universal background checks, wants red flag gun confiscation laws, likes take the guns first, due process second, signed the biggest power and wealth transfer robbery ever in the history of the world, $6.2 trillion. Do you realize how vast a sum $1 trillion is? And I've said this many times on different channels, but it bears repeating. If you were to be given $1 for every second that you were alive, how long would you have to live? Put it in the chat. How long would you have to live before you collected your first $1 trillion? And I'll give you a little hint. $1 every second, you live 84,600 seconds, or 86,400. It's 86,400 seconds every day. So you're collecting an $84,000 paycheck for every day that you live. At the end of a year, you've collected $31.5 million. How long would you have to live at $1 a second to collect your first $1 trillion? Exactly. Somebody just said it. I want you to feast your eyes on that number right there. You have to live almost 32,000 years to collect your first $1 trillion if you made $1 for every second that you were alive. Donald Trump signed a $6.2 trillion CARES stimulus act, most of which, $4 trillion of that went to the Federal Reserve. They just wrote themselves a nice fat check. A lot of it went to the big pharma industrial complex, and we know they're on our side, right? If anybody's on our side, it's Pfizer, right? Pfizer posted record profits in 2020 after the CARES Act, $100 billion. You going to tell me that guy is on your side? Not to mention the billions of dollars that he and Biden and Obama and everybody, the Bushes, the billions and billions of dollars that went to Israel. Who owns us? Who's AIPAC? Who does AIPAC own? Why are there 12,000 lobbyists that run Washington's District of Criminals while the 535 claim to represent? We're representatives of the people. I heard Lauren Boebert say it the other day. I heard AOC say we're. Oh man, what was it? What was it? AOC said, "People trust us to make the decisions. People trust us to write the policies. People trust it. We are lawmakers. They have the power." I sounded like, we are the lawmakers. Who do I sound like right now? If you hear the sound of my voice, you are the resistance. And then he turns coat and he votes for the biggest globalist on the planet, Donald Trump. Donald Trump's a globalist. Joe Biden's a globalist. Barack Obama's a globalist. I mean, what's so hard to understand that they're all a part of the same club and we're not in it? So when you got a Charlie Kirk affecting and infecting the minds of millions of young Americans to go to the polling place to vote for the father of the VAXX. We won't get into that. That's a topic for a different day. To vote for Mr. Red Flag gun confiscation law, to vote for, I like take the guns first, due process second, to vote for the biggest power and wealth transfer, but which, by the way, that power and wealth transfer, if you want to see the signature, he signed his name nice and big. I don't know, Mitch, we can't chicken out now. Just puts his big signature on there. That's one of the biggest current catalysts for the inflation that we're all suffering. You can't write a $6.2 trillion and not expect to dilute the money supply. And that's exactly what he did. When you do that stuff and you print money like it's going on, you don't have to print anymore. They're just putting zeros and ones into people's bank accounts. You're diluting the money supply. What does that mean, Brian? What do you go out to work for? What do you trade your time, effort, and energy and intellect for? So that you can earn money so that you can put a roof over your head and food in your belly. What did Donald Trump do? Well, the same as Obama, the same as Biden, the same as Bush W, the same as Bush HW. He devalued your dollar, which means he stole the value of the product of your time and laboring energies. He devalued your time. He devalued your labor. He devalued your value as a human being. And Charlie Kirk said, go vote for the guy that demeans and destroys the value of your time and labor. And the Democrats are the same too. Go vote for the guy who's going to ring up the national debt and dilute the money supply with their partnership with the Federal Reserve and the IRS. And then people go, what's your solution? I got one solution. If you've got a house fire and your friend comes in and goes, I've got the solution. I've got this 5-gallon can of gas. And he starts pouring the gas all over the fire that you're trying to put out. And you're like, don't do that. Don't pour that gas on that fire. You're making things worse. And he looks over at you with the gas can pouring out flames. Your house is about to just completely disintegrate into ash. And he goes, what's your solution? At least I'm doing something. That's politics. At least we're doing something. At least we're pouring gas on the fire. What are you doing, Brian? What's your solution? Well, I know the first solution is stop pouring the gas. The first solution is stop giving away your power to 535 psychopaths who have the ring of power and now they're corrupted. Which I don't even think that's exactly how it works. It's not so much that, power corrupts or power tends to corrupt and absolute power tends to corrupt absolutely. It's that power draws like a magnet the corruptible. They want that power. Do you want that power? Do you want the power to make rules to force people to do something they don't want to do? That's politics. That is what politics is. They spend hundreds of billions of dollars every single presidential campaign to get their guy in, and the entire time the decision was already made. And if you question that, look at that 30-year-old video where the guy asks Alan Greenspan from the Federal Reserve, what should the relationship be between a Federal Reserve chairman and a president of the United States? And the bottom line is what he said was, it doesn't really matter what the relationship is. Doesn't matter what the relationship is with the executive branch, the judicial branch, the legislative branch. As long as they do what we tell them to do, there ain't going to be no problems, okay? It's like a gangster. He's like a monetary gangster. You do what we tell you to do, Smitty, and there ain't going to be no problems. You ain't ever going to see Guido and the barbed wire wrapped baseball bat. Your kneecaps will stay intact as long as you do what we tell you to do. Now, if you step out of line, we got a video to show you. See that guy down there? His name is Mr. Kennedy. And I'm not sitting here saying that Kennedy was trying to end the Federal Reserve, because if you look at Executive Order 11111, he wasn't trying to get rid of or institute a sound money system under the gold and silver. That would have been commendable if he did. He was just as much dangling from a banker hook as any president of the United States. Don't believe these delusions. Kennedy wasn't on your side either. Maybe he was better than some. Maybe he was worse than others, but he was still a bankster puppet. And every one of them after 1913 has been. Listen to the psychopathic banker Amschel Rothschilds. Give me control over a nation's money, and I don't care who makes its laws. I don't care who the governor is. I don't care who the senators and congressmen are. I don't care who the president of the United States is. We own everyone. We determine the issuance and the value of this, and that is ultimate power in this realm. Oh, and by the way, we're going to manipulate gold and silver through paper trading. That game's about to end. Have you seen the price of gold and silver lately? Once that spring gets sprung and the music stops and there are no chairs to sit in, there's going to be some serious repercussions. And then they're going to go to digital stuff. And are we going to tolerate that? Probably. Don't view Charlie Kirk as a hero. He's funneling the cat, just like who is the most popular Democrat propagandist right now? I think it's Brian Tyler Cohen or Midas Touch. The most popular Democrat propagandists are Brian Tyler Cohen and Midas Touch. And Dave Packman, he's down there, but he's not as popular as Midas Touch. But Charlie Kirk is funneling the American tax cattle into the exact same chute as Midas Touch, as Brian Tyler Cohen, as the Young Turks. They want to control you maybe a little bit different way, but they still want to control you. They may have good intentions, but what did Daniel Webster say about good intentions? Good intentions will always be pleaded for every assumption of authority. Every desire for anybody to have authority is always going to be predicated on, well, I got good intentions. It is not too strong to say that the Constitution was made to guard the people against the dangers of good intentions. Did you know good intentions can be very, very dangerous? Because the person who's wielding the sword of good intentions really thinks they're doing good. There are men in all ages who seek to be governors, but they want to govern. They promise to be good masters, but they mean to be your masters. Somebody who wants to be your master and your governor, but they're saying, well, we're doing it for good intentions. There's a serious psychological problem. And why? Why does every one of those positions turn out to be filled by psychopaths? Because it's psychopaths who want those positions. It's like the thing we say on my cop channel. Do cops become psychopaths, or do psychopaths become cops? You have to be psychopathic to fill out an application to become a law enforcement official, where you know part of the job is, talking to guys primarily right here, that you are going to put your hands on another man and there's nothing they can do about it. That's pretty sadistic. You get to put torture cuffs on them and then put your hands on them. That's what you're doing as a cop. And then you get to stuff them in the back seat against their will and then lock them in that back seat against their will. And then you get to kidnap them. And most of those people are innocent. Maybe they were going 5, 6, 7, 11 miles an hour over the speed limit. Maybe their headlight was out. Maybe their tag light wasn't illuminated. You get to pull them over. You get to interrupt their day. You get to infringe on their pursuit of life, liberty, and happiness because you're a police officer. Only a psychopath would want to do that. Now, I know they justify, just like people who go in the military. I believe, there are believers in propaganda. I mean, wholehearted believers. They really believe when they sign on the dotted line in the military that they're fighting against the evil forces of the world for democracy. It's a lie, though. It's a lie. Ask any Army, Navy, Air Force, Marine recruiter. They are just professional liars. They're just checking something off a box. They're putting another line on the wall so they can get whatever kind of benefits they get, but they're going to lie to you. Oh, heck yeah, you want to be an aircraft mechanic? We'll station you and look at the Alps. Maybe we'll put you, look at this beautiful landscape here. You want to be a helicopter? You want to be a fighter pilot? Yeah, heck yeah. They'll promise you the frickin' moon. Ask anybody who's ever been a recruiter and is willing to come out and be honest about what recruiting is all about. That's the exact same thing about politicians and people like Charlie Kirk. They're recruiters to get you to get into a system that is predicated on forcing people to do something that they don't want to do, which is the very definition of crime. Forcing people and violating their will is a criminal activity, whether you wear a suit or a hoodie. The problem with politicians is they're worse than those guys with the hoodies, because at least the guys with the hoodies, you don't perceive that they have any kind of authority over you. So you're going to do something about it without any repercussions. Like, nobody's going to view you as a bad guy if you ward off a gang of attackers where you're trying to fuel up at 7-Eleven. But they will do something to you if you defend yourself against that cop who pulled you over for no reason, is harassing you, and is now pointing the taser at you. If you defend yourself then, oh my gosh, you must be an evil person, when the real evil person was the one who initiated the force and the violence and the criminality on you. I would love to, maybe we can have a long form discussion on this. Let's get back to the supposed shooter. So yeah, it's 31,700 years is how long it would take you to earn your first $1 trillion if you earned $1 every second. And that's how bad the greatest power and wealth transfer under Donald Trump. I don't know how anybody could support the guy or Obama or any of those people. And I always have to say that as kind of a disclaimer, because if I speak against Trump, automatically, for some magical reason, I'm some leftist libtard now because I spoke the truth about Donald Red Flag Law Trump. It's like, no, he is pro Second Amendment, Brian. You're not pro Second Amendment. It's like, you don't even know what you're talking about. You don't even know what you're talking about. This guy wearing ritualistic shame muzzle there. I want to hear if any, let's listen to what Piers Morgan says. Charlie Kirk's assassin, Tyler Robinson, 22, killed him because he hated his opinions and thought he was a fascist, yet ironically, he was the fascist, killing someone to silence their opposing views. The woke left love to say speech is violent. It's not, violence is. Yeah, well, politics is violence, Piers. You're inherently a hypocrite, just like all these people are. Let me go over some real quick super chats. Dubs has been a member of 4 months. Brian is an example on how to break down things. Thanks, man. I appreciate it. Dubs, literally all I've got. Dubs, if you guys are given super chats and you can't afford it, please don't do that. Please don't do that. Do not give me or anybody else any money if you can't afford it. Thank you, Dubs. Joker, you're thinking a spot on, Brian. Thanks, Joker. Pro Se America. Google my case, Valeos v. Bonta and Bianco. I don't know what this last thing is. I'll try to get back to that, Pro Se. Maybe send me an email or something. Tennessee accountability. I'm pro. I don't give a F. I don't believe. Don't believe, then F with me. Okay, gotcha. Red Pill Rants. Get ready for Charlie Kirk bill to be passed. Mark this comment. Keep up the growth. Oh, yeah, that's a good point, Red Pill Rants. Don't put it past the Republicans to not create some kind of restrictive measure. Guys, you got to understand, every single law is one more restriction on your rights. The more the laws, the less the freedom. If you want to find out how powerful the state is, just find out how many laws they have. There's actually a quote. I'm trying to find it. Something about Montesquieu said, there's no greater tyranny than that which is perpetuated under the shield of law and in the name of justice. I don't even know how you could get more true than that. There's something about the amount of laws that the state has. Oh, yeah. The more corrupt the state, the more numerous the laws. Tacitus. The more corrupt the state, the more numerous the laws. And the more numerous the laws, the less your individual freedoms. You don't want more laws. Laws empower the state and weaken the people. Actually, you know what? Laws serve two purposes. Number one, they extract wealth and they transfer power. They extract wealth because for that law, which isn't really a law, it's just the opinions of men, for that law to be on the books and remain enforceable is going to cost somebody money, and the government doesn't have money. The only thing the government's got is what they've taken from you. And the more you ask the government to do for you, the more money they take from you and really squander. There's nobody more inefficient and wasteful than people in government. So laws do two things. They steal your wealth, and they transfer power. They make you less free. The people in the state become more free. You get a more powerful FBI, a more powerful Department of Homeland Security, a more powerful TSA. Take off your shoes. Empty your bag. You can't have 3 ounces of fluid. Take your belt off. Lift up your hands. Let us feel you up. Which, by the way, it's sick. It's disgusting. But, you know, what do you want? The radiation or molestation practices of the TSA? At least if I get molested by the TSA, there aren't abiding possible cancerous effects from going in their machinery for the last 20 years. I don't know if it's true or not, but I have heard that there are more occurrences of tumors since they instituted these surveillance checkpoints at airports. Because, you know, people are just, they're in a hurry and they're like, yeah, I'd rather be patted down, but God, I don't want to miss my flight. So they jump in that little thing and they raise their hands and that little thing goes around. I don't know if it's true that there are more cancerous tumors since they implemented that in 2001, but think about it. Yesterday was the 25th or the 24th. 24th? Yeah, because it happened in 2001. So it's the 24th anniversary of 9/11. And by October, they were already putting these machines in place. Not 45 days after the 9/11 event, they were placing these radiation machines in airports. I wonder if anybody's done a study on, like, let's say you're a businessman and you're constantly traveling and you're constantly going through airports. I wonder if these people are, you know, suffering any ill effects of that. Would not doubt it. Oh, that's right. Trump said something. Let's see. I was going to look at. Yeah, let's hear what Trump says on this.
Any updates on the suspect?
Oh, wait. First, Charlie Kirk. Bill, thanks, Red Pill Rants. Joe Cotton says, thanks for keeping us up to date. Thank you, Joe, for the super chat. $10 super chat. Holy cow, man. Aloha, Brian. Thanks, Brian. Is High Impact Flicks back? No, but High Impact Vlogs is. The High Impact Vlog channel is back. Let me show you. Believe it or not. So yeah, go sub over there. Let me drop this. After a 5-year termination, the High Impact Vlog channel is back. I also have this channel. If you guys aren't aware, I also have and some of you may be watching on it, this live stream on it right now, The Disturbing Illusion, where we expose the left versus right paradigm lie, which is paramount. It's essential to expose this lie, because unless we get our minds right, we can't get freedom. We can't get freedom back. So Pro Say America says, Brian, I hope you cover my case. Thanks, man. Sevenfold 777 says, we can always count on law enforcement arriving on the scene to arrest the wrong suspect while the real criminals make their getaway. And that's incredible too. That's something that we all need to understand. People are like, well, what are we going to do without you? Hate police. First of all, I've never said I hate police. Police are not on your side. They're constantly committing criminal activity against us under the color of law, which is a deprivation of rights under the color of law, according to 18 USC 242. They're constantly conspiring against us in violation of 18 USC 241, conspiracy against rights. But I've never said I've hated individuals who wear a costume. But they are against us. They're not for you. If they're initiating and enforcing any law that violates your freedoms, they are your enemy. They know you can't fight back. That's being a psychopath. Stop being a psychopath. So people are saying, Brian, what are we going to do without law enforcement? Well, what do you do now? You need to protect yourself. 99% of the time, law enforcement will admit that they come after the crime is committed. They're there just to take a report or order the body bags. And a lot of times they're there to actually be the criminal element that you don't want and you don't need in your life. What would we do without law enforcement? You would probably stop depending on somebody else for your security, and you'd probably take different measures if you knew there wasn't somebody out there pretending somebody was out there protecting you, because they're not anyway. You might as well get yourself a personal protection device. Learn how to use it. Show your family how to use it. Have some kind of protocol where when you go out, you guys are watching each other, head on a swivel, situational awareness. Have a plan inside. If somebody breaks in, here's where we go. Here's our safe room. Here's where we're going to hunker down. Here's where we've got our stash of ammunition and firearms and food if we need it. Have a plan. But people are so lazy that if they think there's a possibility that the cops might show up on time, that the 911 operator will actually effectively communicate what's supposed to happen. Not only that, you don't really want cops arriving on the scene while an intruder's coming into your house, because when the cops come, they might mistake you for the intruder. And then, like we see with all these welfare checks, you end up in a body bag with a tag on your toe in a cooling machine. So what do you do without law? What would we do without politicians? That's literally the argument. What would you're saying we need to get rid of? What would we do without our beloved politicians? Do you realize how crazy people sound? What would we do without law enforcement officers routinely harassing us, economically terrorizing us, tasing us, shooting our pets, breaking into our homes, treating us like criminals? What would we ever do without the law enforcement class, Brian? That's what I hear when I hear people go, what are we going to do? Society will fall apart, Brian, if we don't have cops. Society will absolutely fall apart. Really? I don't really see it that way. Maybe we can save that for a discussion on another day too. Sevenfold also said, in other news, cops continue to investigate themselves and find no wrongdoing. Exactly. Bruce R. gifted 5 Here's the Deal memberships. Bruce R., thank you very much. Thank you, Sevenfold, and everybody who contributed to this broadcast through their super chat or Cash App. I don't have my phone here. But if you guys do a Cash App, I will definitely give you guys a shout out. Let's hear what Donald Trump says on faux news.
Yeah. Can I always say, I think, just to protect us all, and so Fox doesn't get sued and we all don't get sued and everything else. But I think with a high degree of certainty, we have him in custody, right? In custody. Everyone did a great job. We worked with the local police, the governor, everybody did a great job. getting somebody that you start off with absolutely nothing. And we started off with a clip that made him look like an ant that was almost useless. We just saw there was somebody up there. And so much work has been done over the last 2.5 days. It's amazing, actually, when you start off with that and then all of a sudden you get lucky or talent or whatever it is. But yeah, I think we're in great shape.
Mr.
And
President,
he's in custody.
your suspicion was that he was radical left, and now you have more information. What can you share with us about his ideology?
Yeah, Lawrence, let me and by the way, Lawrence is doing a good job. What's going on?
Job, yeah.
I'll tell you what, I'm very proud of you.
Thank you, sir.
I said you were going to do well. But yeah, I think that I don't want to go too far. I'd like.
Can you believe he's doing a good job? Wow, we are all surprised that Lawrence is doing a good job. What's going on here? Wow. I could totally see how the left would take that.
To tell you some stories at how it happened, but essentially somebody that was very close to him turned him in. And that happens when you had some of those good shots. Somebody is going to say, whether it's a parent or whatever, I'd rather not say right now. They're going to announce it today, sometime later, probably talk about that. But somebody close to him turned him in. They said, whoa, it's interesting. We had very good pictures, but not great, not perfect. And when you look at it, what happened is somebody, and this happens a lot. It happened with the crazy Boston bomber. It happened with others. Somebody that's close recognizes even a little tilt of the head, which nobody else would do. And somebody that was very close to him said, that's him. And essentially went to the father.
Just a real quick reminder. This guy is MAGA. Make Israel great again. This guy is Israel first.
Went to a U.S. Marshal who was fantastic, by the way. And the person was involved with law enforcement, but was a person of faith, a minister. And brought him to a U.S. Marshal who was fantastic. And
oh yeah, one of Trump's best friends is Larry Fink, guys. Larry Fink. Who's Larry Fink, Brian? Look into who Larry Fink is.
The father.
I mean, he's got a vice president who is basically a representative for Peter Thiel and Palantir.
Convinced.
Yeah, and there's 0 Epstein client list arrests. 0.
The son, this is it. And again, I'm always subject to be corrected, but I'm just giving you based on what I'm hearing. They'll give you a much more active. I just heard about it 5 minutes before I walked in. As I'm walking in, they said, looking real good. They have the person that they wanted. So you have breaking news, don't you? Huh?
Thank you.
You always have breaking news, Ainsley. Sean's going to be very disappointed that we're not doing it on his show.
He'll be very thankful and appreciative of the police officers that got this guy.
They did a great job. Everybody worked together. Pam Bondi is incredible, by the way. People don't know what a star she is. She's incredible. And it all worked out.
Could I
Pam Bondi. Is that Pam? I have everything on my desk and ready to go. Bondi with the Epstein files. Oh, Epstein. Well, it's kind of a Democrat hoax now. Eating the popcorn. Oh, it's on my desk. Oh, don't worry. We're going to tell you the truth. The American people deserve the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth.
ask you just some clarification? So a pastor was able to turn him in, or they got the family of the shooter to turn them in?
Yeah, Ansley should have said that. Anarchy is Freedom said Bondi is a star for hiding all the Epstein files and videos. That was a perfect point for Ansley to jump in and say, but President Trump, they're not going to say that, man. This is a circle Jerk right here.
It was a minister, and the minister went to a minister who was involved with law enforcement, by the way. And his good friend is a top U.S. Marshal. And they took it from there. And then it was a father got involved, namely his father, and said, we got to go in. And they, so I understand it. And again, subject to change. But, you know, the facts are the facts. We have the person that we think is the person we're looking for. But they drove.
Stupid says. The police did a great job. They answered a phone call from the parents. Great job. Great job.
Drove into the police headquarters, and he's there now.
Did the father know about what the son had done?
I don't know. I'm going to let you get all those questions later because I can't tell you how accurate. The bottom line is they have somebody that they think did it.
So, Mr. President, there is the death penalty in Utah.
Yes.
And I do know this is going to be a federal case. And there's many of us believe that Charlie was targeted because of his political ideology.
Yeah.
What's going to happen to this guy?
Wait a minute. This is going to be a federal case? Why is this going to be a federal case? That doesn't make any sense. Oh, it's because Charlie Kirk is almost like a diplomat. He's almost like a dignitary. Do you remember what Jesse Waters said on Fox News yesterday? He insisted that Charlie Kirk is tantamount to a lieutenant in the movement. Charlie Kirk, according to Jesse Waters on Faux News, affected policy. Think about that. A guy who's not an elected official affected policy. Faux News also reported yesterday, Laura Trump said if it wasn't for Charlie Kirk, Donald Trump would likely not be president. That is a lot of power. You're going to tell me somebody who's got that much power is on your side? Do you really believe that? If anybody was in the club, it was Charlie Kirk. Was Charlie Kirk being mildly critical of Israel at the end? Could that point to some maybe shenanigans about, the intelligence agencies, namely Mossad, maybe wanting to take him out as an example of what you do when you do that kind of stuff? Yeah, but he wasn't being near as critical as somebody like Candace Owens. And I don't see anybody trying to take her out. But do you really think Candace Owens, who spent years stumping for Donald red flag law Trump, do you think Candace Owens is on your side? This is why I was so critical about Heavy Duty Country, because Heavy Duty Country leveraged his audience. Candace Owens leveraged her audience. Even, what's that guy's name? Ian Carroll leveraged his audience. Charlie Kirk definitely leveraged his audience and lived his whole life trying to get Donald Palantir Trump into office. Donald BlackRock Trump. Donald worked for the Federal Reserve, even though they got this thing against Jerome Powell, and it looks like this WWE, he's the bad guy, I'm the good guy. No, I'm the good guy, he's the bad guy. They got this banter back and forth. They got to keep that going. There's got to be entertainment. There's got to be a protagonist and an antagonist. And they know how to play you. If you're not 100% on a logic, constantly trying to suppress emotion. I'm not saying emotion is not good. We're human beings, and emotion is good when it's controlled, but they know how to get this emotion out of control. Look at these I just noticed look at the surveillance cameras in the background here. Got surveillance cameras and facial recognition stuff all over these cameras behind them. We live in a surveillance police state. And don't think for a second they're not going to use this Charlie Kirk's thing to manufacture more policy, create more laws, institute more surveillance so we can get, it took us 33 hours. No, that's pretty good. 33 hours. Just think of it. Wow, what a coincidence that we would use that number. But it took us 33 hours. But imagine if we had the Palantir flock system working together in unison, we could have caught him in 3 hours. We could have caught him immediately. Don't think they're not going to institute that kind of stuff on the heels of this.
Well, I hope he's going to be found guilty, I would imagine. And I hope he gets the death penalty. What he did.
I don't know, Billy. I don't know. I don't know the answer to that question.
Charlie Kirk was the finest person. He didn't deserve this. He worked so hard. And
my gosh. Okay, so let me deal with this too. Let me deal with this because people have an objection, a strong objection to what I posted on. Did I just peek out? What I posted on my X page. And I just want to show you and you got to be gut honest with yourself, okay? When you answer this question. Here's what I said. Serious question. Who are we to say someone didn't deserve something? Conversely, who are we to say somebody did deserve something? The right is trying to convince you that Charlie Kirk deserves glory and honor and respect. The left is trying to convince you into believing that he didn't deserve glory and honor, respect, but he did deserve what he got because of his position on guns. Who are we to actually say what somebody did or didn't deserve? You don't even know Charlie Kirk. You don't know what he deserved. Let me ask you this. What do you think, what you know about him? And you don't even know who Jeffrey Epstein is. All you know is what government sources have said, what you've read about documents online, and what mainstream media said. You don't really know who Jeffrey Epstein is, but what do you think he deserves? What do you think? Seriously, what do you think Henry Kissinger deserves or deserved? I mean, if you know somebody did something heinous, if you know they committed a just slaughter a whole bunch of people, let's say, what do you think Jeffrey Dahmer deserved? I'm sure there are a lot of people before the news came out about what Jeffrey Dahmer actually did would say, that is a fine young man. That guy lived next door to me for 3 years and he helped little old ladies across the street. He crawled up that tree and got my cat out of the tree and returned him to me. I think he deserves honor and praise and respect. Well, but do you know who Jeffrey Dahmer is? You can't even say that about somebody that you think you know, let alone a Charlie Kirk. So the reason I wrote this right here is, who are we to say someone didn't deserve something? Because if it started off with the Joe Rogan podcast, while Joe Rogan was interviewing Charlie Sheen, the news came in that Charlie Kirk had been shot. And then the news came in. I don't know if the news came in yet that he had died, but Charlie Sheen first said he didn't deserve that. And then Joe Rogan said he didn't deserve that. And then Megyn Kelly said he didn't deserve that. And then you've got Chris Cuomo saying he didn't deserve that. And I can't even tell you how many times I heard somebody say he didn't deserve that. Do you really know what somebody deserves? And what's your criteria for being deserving? Do you really know? And so you've got all these people parroting the same thing. Well, we know one thing, he didn't deserve that. And the leftists go, we know one thing, he absolutely deserved that. How do you know he deserved it? How do you know he didn't deserve it? The answer is you don't. Is it possible that somebody that you thought deserved something really didn't deserve it? You got to say, yeah, it's possible. So then you don't know. So if you don't know, why are you saying he deserved it? You're actually going beyond your knowledge of what you're talking about. That's foolish. What if we started doing that about everything? So that's where I lost you. What do you mean I lost you? What do you think Hitler deserved? Do you think Hitler deserved that? What do you think Stalin or Mussolini deserved? What do you think Donald Trump deserved? What do you think Benjamin Netanyahu deserves? What do you think the IDF soldiers who are blowing out kneecaps of Palestinian children, what do you think they deserve? Because there are a lot of people who believe that the IDF deserve a medal for doing what they're doing. And there are some people who go, well, people in the IDF deserve something different. How have I lost you on that? What does anybody disagree with what I just said? If you disagree with what I just said, put a 2 in the room. Do you really know what people deserved? I know what PEDOs deserve. And it might have something to do with a wood chipper. 3. Kirk and Steen. Anyway, back to Donnie. Where's Donnie?
Well, everybody liked him. I've been watching, even the left is having a hard time. They fired this guy Dowd from MSDNC, who's a terrible guy, terrible.
Yeah, a lot of people are saying that, Stephanie. A lot of people are saying that.
Human being, but they fired him. I hear they're firing other people. And, you know, we're talking about radical left. Now, they're a little bit, but radical left networks. And
who wants to do a call-in? I got time for a call-in. What are we at? 2 hours? Holy cow, it's 2 hours. If you disagree with me on something, I want to hear from you. Do put a 1 in the room if you want to do a call-in. If I get 51s, I'll put the call-in link and we'll do it. But I really want to hear from people who disagree with me. I don't really want to hear on this particular thing people who agree with me. So if there's 51s,
cable channels, horrible channels like
I'll do a call in.
MS, I always go DNC because it's, you know, somehow affiliated with the Democrat National Committee. So, you know, it's a little statement you make, but MSNBC, but NBC, ABC, CBS, they're all terrible, absolutely terrible and unfair. But even they have been giving it sort of like, this can't be allowed to happen.
And I just love moment of silence at the Yankee game.
Yeah, people thought that bullet whizzed right by Trump's ear.
Moment of silence in the Redskin game, Commanders game last night, because they understand this doesn't matter who you voted for. This was a special person. My opinion is that you have people, when a soldier dies, you write a personal letter, you feel it. When something happens in America, you feel it, you show up for it. I feel like with Charlie Kirk, from what I witnessed, it's for you, it's almost like a family member.
You know, Don said to me, he's sort of like a son to you.
Yeah, I don't see many ones. Put a 1 if you want to call in show. Yeah, because if there's not interest in a call-in show, I'm definitely not going to do it. I don't want to waste anybody's time.
Charlie got involved.
It's got to be 50 separate ones, Sensi.
Like 11 years ago, I think he started. You know, he's a brilliant guy, but he didn't go to college. He actually started in college. He was so bored that he left. He would have done very well in college if he wanted to, but he was brilliant. I always said, you know, can you get a degree because you're sort of used to having people like you went to college, right? Yeah. But he didn't. He just didn't have the patience to do it, and he started this really during what would normally be college, maybe even sooner than that, but what would normally be college, and it's become a movement. And you know, I won youth. A Republican never wins youth, but I won youth. I will tell you, TikTok helped me, but he helped me with TikTok. But he helped me with youth. I've never seen a person who's, in this case, older than the people we're talking about. You know, in many cases, I've never seen young people or any group go to one person like they did to Charlie. Mm-hmm. He'd go out to Arizona, to any school, to Utah, where he was, but any school, also East Coast, anywhere. And he would have bigger rallies than any radical left speaker.
All right, I've got the call-in link in the chat. If you disagree, I want to hear from you.
And it was killing them because he'd have 5,000 people show up, 10,000.
And I've only got 10 minutes, so it's 11:58 Central right now. So I got to be out of here at 12:08.
People show up. They'd go and they'd have 50 people, but they talk big league, right? Now, he was an unbelievable talent, but he was more, it wasn't really so much a talent.
I've dropped the call-in link twice if you guys want to do it.
Just really believed it. He just believed it. He loved young people. He wanted to help young people, and he didn't deserve this. He was truly a good person.
Oh, let's see. Truly a good person.
They'll give you a...
BNat, what's up? BNat, you're live. BNat, you may be muted. Okay, let's see here. Okay, I'm moving to the next one. Billy the Kid.
Hello, Mr. Brian. Hello, brother.
What's up, man?
Hey, man. I'm just listening, and you know, who are we speaking about? Charlie Kirk and what's going on? I don't know, man. What do you think? I mean, are we being led down a cliff? We are being herded down a cliff, right? And they're gonna try to throw us off a cliff. Look, and now we're talking about taking our weapons away. Look, here's the thing: is in Texas, we're not going to tolerate that. We're just not going to tolerate. I don't think many people are not going to tolerate. Look, my uncle has he's a deer hunter. Been a deer hunter since he was a young boy. He's not going to tolerate it. Just saying. What do you think about this?
Well, I need to know what's your disagreement, because I'm trying to. I've got a strict time limit. Is there anything that I said that you disagreed with?
Can you bring me back to the point? Bring me back to the point, please, real quick.
Well, I got to move on to the next one, because I really need to open this up to people who are in disagreement with me, man. I appreciate you. Appreciate you being here. Take care. Life is good. What's up, man? How you doing?
Hey, Brian. I watch your stuff all the time. I think you do a great job presenting, and you're very diplomatic in your opinions. The thing I disagree with the most is when you were presenting earlier today, you kept saying they're doing this, they're going to do this, they're doing this, they're going to do this, rather than saying they're trying to do this, they're trying to get people to. When you say they're doing this, you're focusing that into being for the rest of all your followers. And I think
what this are you talking about?
Whatever you're saying, or what you were saying they're, coming for the guns. They're doing all of these things that, as if we have no control whatsoever.
Well,
rather than saying they're trying to do these things. And it made me question your intention, because I love what you do. And I think that you know about words and how they create and what they do. So I think it's very important that you, rather than, reporting it as it is, report it as we want it to be.
Can you come up with another example? Because they're always coming up. There's always a bill on the table.
You're going to have to go back and look. I don't know specifically, because I was in the chat saying, dude, just say they're trying to. Don't say they're doing this, because that's fulfillment of manifestation. These things.
Well, when they're trying to, they are doing it. They're already in motion doing it.
I hear you.
We already have AOC, Dave Pacman, and Bernie Sanders, just for three, who've already said we got to do something about the guns. We have social media influencers saying we got to do something. So they're already they are already doing it. But I understand what you're saying, but they're always
trying to, and we all have a voice in that. That's the message.
Well, no, we don't need a voice in that.
Well, you need to know what's going on in order to do anything about it, right?
But there has to be a shift, and it can't be a policy shift. It has to be a mentality, and the mentality we all have to adopt is, hey, you politicians, we need an Amschel Rothschild mentality. I don't care who makes the laws. I don't care what laws you make. You need to know I'm not going to follow them. And if you make them, it's the 1920s. Do you realize that and I'm agreeing with you. Do you realize that the 1933 abolition of abolition, the government took credit for it when it was actually, it became unenforceable. That's why they changed it. It's like, wow, we don't want to look bad and have all this resistance, because they're kind of fighting back. Speakeasies are on the rise. They're constantly buying and selling alcohol, and there's nothing we can do about it. So they went ahead and changed that amendment, because the mentality of the people were keep alcohol illegal. We don't care. We're still going to drink it. We're still going to buy it. We're still going to sell it. Same thing with guns, and same thing with everything.
Well, I'm going to stand on what I initially said. Just be aware of your words and how you're presenting. Because you do have a lot of influence. You've definitely influenced me over the time since kind of probably since COVID when I started searching more and more stuff out. I think that you have great information. I did learn from you the Second Amendment verbatim and a few other things. Raps was a good one. But I think, you know, you have a good message. Use your power for good. Be very mindful of the words that you're using. I know you are, and be even more.
No, I appreciate it,
That's what
man.
I disagreed about. So
Hey,
thanks for having me up, though. It's awesome. I appreciate you, man.
What's your first name?
Aaron.
Aaron, I appreciate
I'm Aaron
it, man.
David Spiegel. Life is good. I feel good. Good things are always happening to me.
All right,
Words.
cool.
All right, brother.
I appreciate the exhortation, man. Take care.
I appreciate you.
All right, bye. Hey, Ovis, how you doing, man? Ovis, you're up. Ovis Herder, you're up.
Oh, hey, what's going on, Brian?
What's up, man?
Hold on, let me lower the volume here because I can still hear the other guy talking. I can barely hear you.
You're up, man.
Oh yeah, see, like I don't know, something's wrong with the connection because I'm hearing the guy before me, and I can barely hear you. So I don't know. I'm gonna have to pull out and then try to come back in. How about that?
Okay, sounds good. What's up, Lazarus? You're on.
Hey, how's it going, Brian?
Good.
Hey, so I'm echoing. That sucks. I wanted to jump on and talk about the Casey book that was written. I can't hear myself through the echo. I'm jumping off.
Okay. All right. I put a 1 in the room if you want me to continue this, but it is 12:06 and I got to be out of here in 2 minutes. And I don't think that's going to give us enough time for. Oh, could you guys hear the echo? I didn't. Oh, wow. I didn't hear the echo. Yeah, I got to be out of here in 1 minute. So, hey, appreciate you guys joining. If you haven't done so already, subscribe to the channel, hit the like button, hit the bell notification icon, share this video if you think it's important. But the bottom line here is that there is a price to freedom, and that freedom is eternal vigilance. And it's very difficult to be vigilant all the time. It's easy to let our guards down, but we got to be even more vigilant than we have been because things are probably going to get spicy on the heels of this Charlie Kirk thing. Yeah, the people on the left who are celebrating Charlie Kirk's death, that is outrageous. That's unconscionable. That's hypocritical because they wouldn't want what happened to Charlie Kirk done to them if they were speaking under the auspices of freedom of speech. That's all Kirk was doing, was for exercising his freedom of speech. It's evil to try to kill somebody because you don't like what they said. All right. So I appreciate you guys. I will see you in the next live stream. Take care.